Hey, welcome to the World of Equine News Report. I'm your host, Wayne Williams of Speaking of Horses. In this report, we'll introduce you to some unique equine ventures and groups, as well as a rare breed, the Sugarbush draft horse. So let's, right now, learn about the Sugarbush draft.
Awesome.
Hey, speaking of horses, we're here at the Virginia Horse Festival. Tracy Meisenbach, correct?
Yes.
Is my guest. And a couple of things that Tracy's been doing here. Number one, you've been doing some bitting clinics, correct?
Yes, I do a bit clinic, and I also have a booth here with our stark naked bits.
Stark naked bits? I guess I missed the name of that. Okay, we'll get into that. We'll delve into this later. But also, you are involved, and I think a year or so ago had some of the Sugarbush draft horses here.
Yes, I'm the executive director of the American Sugarbush Harlequin Draft Association. The Sugarbush Harlequin Draft is one of two American draft breeds that has ever been created, and we are bringing the breed back from the brink of extinction. It was down to 12 horses just a couple of years ago, and now we're up to over 100 horses, and the breed is growing in popularity. And we're really, really, really pleased with the response we've got from the public supporting our resurrection of this breed. And they've got quite an interesting history.
Well, we're going to delve into this a little bit because I think the history was interesting. I remember announcing the breed demos with your draft horses in the arena and reading your script, I think a couple of different places maybe over the last year or two.
Yeah, we've been up to Briarfest. We've been over to the Virginia Horse Expo that was at the Old Dominion thing. We were at the Virginia State Fair draft show here last fall, for the last 2 years in September.
Well, I know where I've seen you. I've seen you obviously here, and I also am the announcer of Briarfest here. So I have done
You've
that.
Seen us for a long time.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
You've been Briarfest is exactly where it is every July.
Yeah.
I see you at Briarfest.
Yeah.
But it's a very interesting breed, and I've read your script enough to, it takes me a while, for things to soak in, but I've read your script enough that it's really intriguing. And so give us the history, if you would, of the Sugarbush draft.
Well, the breed started really in two places that were kind of thinking of the same idea at the same time. Back in the 70s, Michael Hanna, who has since changed his name to Michael Muir in respect for his grandfather's heritage, was an Appaloosa breeder, and he bought an Appaloosa race stallion named Apache Double. And Apache Double was bred by George Hatley, who was the executive director of the APHC for 31 years.
Okay.
And he's only sire of $2 million in progeny, winning progeny. So for an Appaloosa racehorse, he was quite high end. He's in the Appaloosa Hall of Fame. And then Mike decided to rescue a draft stallion. There was a Percheron draft stallion at a sale. His name was Charlie Dagus. He was in terrible condition. So Mike brought him home and just rehabbed him, turned him into this amazing looking horse, and decided to start crossing this horse on his daughters from Apache Double, which at the time was kind of out of the loop with Appaloosas because they were trying so hard to get rid of the image of the draft history where the cavalry had introduced draft breeds into the Nez Perce herds and tried to turn them into plow horses. And so while the Appaloosa industry was going in one direction, Michael Muir turned around and went in the opposite direction. And during this time, he also found out that he had MS. So he was not able to ride and compete anymore. So he wanted to develop a high-end driving horse that was of warm blood type. So he took his Apache Double daughters, which the Appaloosa breeders would have killed for, and he crossed them on Charlie Dagus, and he created these warm bloods, these leopard-spotted warm bloods. And he continued breeding these horses. He actually created a hitch that had three sisters in it, Stonewall Stella, Stonewall Blanche, and Stonewall Scarlet. And to bring awareness of MS, he drove them from California to Florida, and 3,000 miles in an open carriage. And it was covered in Western Horseman and I believe Horse Illustrated. And so another gentleman named Everett Smith was in Willowwood, Ohio, and he saw the story about the Stonewall sport horses. And he also had a carriage business. And he had decided that while he loved his Percherons, they weren't quite flashy enough and they weren't attracting enough attention. So maybe adding some spots to the mix was the idea. So he contacted Michael Muir and he said, I would love to use one of your stallions on my Percheron mares, and we're going to create an American draft horse. And so at that time, he bred to a stallion named Stonewall Rascal, who was 2 generations of Percheron breeding, and still maintain the Appaloosa spots. He's a big bay leopard stallion. We now own him. He's 20 years old. He's a gelding, unfortunately. And we use him in all our demonstrations and stuff like that. He's just the grand old man of the breed. He's really an intriguing horse. And so he bred to that horse and to a Percheron and produced a leopard spotted stallion named Sugarbush Harlequin. And this was the foundation sire of the Sugarbush Harlequin draft breed. And people started taking notice of these spotted draft horses, and Everett and Michael decided to get together and create a registry for the Stonewalls and the Sugarbush draft horses. And their goal was to create American warm bloods and American draft horses with the Appaloosa coloring and kind of compete against all the imported horses. And the popularity, you know, it just exploded at the time. During the 70s and 80s, Appaloosa marked horses were very, very, very popular.
Right.
Unfortunately, what happened was after just a couple of years, Everett had bad health, and he allowed his horses and the registry to move to Texas. And it again fell into neglect. The horses weren't being taken care of, and the registry was definitely not being taken care of. And it got down to where there were just 12 horses of the original lines left. Now, at that time that the horses went to Texas, Michael Muir took his section of the registry back on the Stonewall sport horses, and he still manages that today in Texas. But he's been a huge help to us and a huge supporter of bringing the Sugarbush draft horse back. And so there were a group of us interested in the Sugarbushes, and there was one breeding age stallion left who was Harley's son, Sugarbush Harlequin, or oh gosh, I can't even say his name, it's in my mind. Sugarbush Harley's Classic O. And, you know, we were really worried that bad things were going to happen, because if he was lost, then there would be no stallion of that bloodline.
That would be
left.
the end of the bloodline.
That would be the end of it. So the president of our association, Rebecca Buck, purchased O. Now, at the time, our association didn't exist either. She purchased O, and we had a discussion about the other registry, and we basically said, we've got to do something better. We've got to do something more, because this is just languishing. The other registry was a private business, and it was just being used to make money for the one person. It wasn't benefiting the horse or the breeders. So we formed the American Sugarbush Harlequin Draft Association, bringing the name Harlequin back into the breed as Everett originally had it. And a group of us horse ladies got together, and we have been going full speed ahead ever since. And so now we have found several of the lost Sugarbushes that were from Everett's original lines that had been dispersed, and we brought them back into the registry. The breed is expecting 22 foals this year, which doesn't sound like a lot in terms of like quarter horse, but to a breed that was down to 22 horses just 6 years ago, 12 horses 6 years ago, 22 babies is a lot.
That's a good number.
It's a good number.
Yeah.
We've also brought in some hardship colored geldings that are draft crosses that have the conformation and quality that we want. And when we formed this breed association, we decided that we were going to set standards within the industry, that even though we were the small guy, we were going to make a difference. So we require genetic testing on every breeding stock animal. Every single one has to, if they have Appaloosa blood, they have to pass a 5-panel test. They have to be negative for HYPP, MH, DEB, PSSM, HERDA, and then if they have Belgian blood, they also have to be negative for JEB. And we did this after the big registries told us we couldn't, and that it would drive people away, and it's actually brought more people to the breed. Because when you buy a Sugarbush, you don't have to worry about whether who's got a potentially fatal.
That's all covered.
It's all covered immediately. Right. We also have made several show rules against cruelty and abuse, drugging, things like that, and we're going to stick to those standards.
So tell me what sets that Sugarbush draft horse, what sets it apart from other breeds?
Well,
is it just the coloring?
no, absolutely not.
That's what I'm getting at. What?
They're actually more versatile than most drafts. We breed them to be a riding draft. You can drive them too, but when you ride a Sugarbush, you just float. They have fantastic movement. I showed dressage for years, and these horses can do it. They do not move like a typical draft horse. I have a purebred Percheron mare, and they're a little bit ponderous. You know, she's a giant horse, a 17.2. But a Sugarbush moves like a stock horse in a 16 or 17 hand body. And they are fast on their feet. Now, when you think about it, it's really funny because if you go back through O's lines, back to Apache Double's father was a horse named Double Ray. And Double Ray was the son of Ray Count, who was a Kentucky Derby winner. So just those generations back, we've got a Kentucky Derby winning racehorse.
And you got the thoroughbred line, which adds other
absolutely.
facets
So
to the horse. Yeah.
These horses are they're not muscle bound. They're not locked up. They're big horses. They're stout. They're gentle. But when you work them, their mind moves like a stock horse. They're very catty on their feet. And I've had O moving down the trail sometimes, and it's like you hear the thunder. He's moving along.
So when people want to get a hold of you and learn a lot more about Sugarbush drafts, how do they contact you?
They can contact us through the registry. We're in Brookneal, Virginia, P.O. Box 555, Brookneal, Virginia. We have a website that is sugarbushharlequindraft.com. We have a Facebook page with the American Sugarbush Harlequin Draft Horse Association. And that has all our director phone numbers and stuff on it.
So you can basically go to Facebook, or you can Google Sugarbush Harlequin.
Harlequin draft, yes.
Right.
And we tell people that because unfortunately...
Just think of the romance novel.
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly. Or the clowns that wear the multicolored suits.
Well, I hadn't thought of them, but you know, since you brought up Naked Bits, I'm thinking of romance novels.
Well, that works too.
Yeah.
And ironically, we do ride our Sugarbushes in our Naked Bits too. In fact, Rascal, when Stonewall Rascal was at Briarfest last year, he did the demo. My daughter rode in the red ringmaster's coat, and he had just his Naked Bit on.
I do remember that. Yes.
So, but they're great, versatile horses. I took O out last year and showed him in Western dressage, and finished out 5th in the nation against stock horses.
Wow.
And they'll do regular dressage, driving, jumping.
That's fantastic.
Anything you want. Any age rider, any size rider, they can handle.
I'm going to ask you one question before we run out of time here. Describe this Naked Bit. You did the bit and bitting clinic earlier, so you must do that also.
Well, yeah, I've been a bit clinician for a long time. A Naked Bit is it's based on my daughter's last name is Stark, and when we started them, they're used without a headstall. It's just it's a jaw bit that buckles around the bit. So the horse is technically naked. So then we combined it to the Stark Naked Bit.
Okay.
And then we didn't quite understand when we got our website name, starknakedbits.com, what Google was going to do to us.
You didn't go in the categories you wanted, did you?
Because when you Google Naked Bits at first, bad things appeared. But it's caught on now, and now other makers who are trying to make the same bit are calling them Naked Bits.
Yeah.
So we're working on our trademark and stuff, but they work great, and we've really enjoyed testing all the prototypes. And
you know, speaking of Horses TV, will be at the National Equestrian Trails Conference. That's going to be held in Durham, North Carolina in July, and we'll have reports on this important gathering later on this year. And we'll also be at the Buckskin World Show in Indiana, and we'll have reports from there as well, so keep watching. And we'll be right back after this. We want to take a moment to thank many of the fine people who helped to make Speaking of Horses possible. King Barnes Structure Company, located in Pennsylvania. Great custom barns, wonderful products, top quality construction designed to meet your needs. King Barnes. To Source Nutrition, wonderful micronutrients aiding in digestion. Based in Connecticut, harvesting seaweed off the coast of Maine for all of the nutrients. Source Nutrition. Up Stirrups. If you're short or just have problems getting on, you can take a step up stirrup and make your horse a hand and a half shorter by dropping down the stirrup, getting on, and then clicking it back in place. Check out Step Up Stirrup. L&D Trailers and Equitrek, a wonderful line of trailers coming to you from across the pond in England with some unique designs. L&D Trailers. And DP Waterers, Drinking Post Waterers, a wonderful concept, fresh water year-round, fresh water in the summer, fresh, cool, not frozen water in the winter, no electricity needed. Check out DP Waterers. Thanks to everyone who makes Speaking of Horses possible. Well, now let's meet a group of older riders with a unique club to talk about. You know, we caught up with this group at the Virginia Equine Festival recently. Watch. Hey, welcome to Speaking of Horses, and we are in the Old People's Riding Club booth. We are at the Virginia Horse Festival in Doswell, and very happy to be sitting here. Now, you're a national director, is that right?
I am. I'm the national vice president.
Right, and your name is?
My name is Sue Berry.
Sue Berry.
Yes, and I am actually a member of a local chapter here in Virginia. Still hot to trot chapter, and we're based in King George, Virginia.
Well, obviously, I fit into this category of Old People's Riding Club, but tell us how this all came about. Give us a history.
Well, in 1998, it was started in Maryland. A woman by the name of Hope Jacobs was taking her daughter back and forth to Pony Club and decided that she wanted to have fun with her friends too. So she got a group of adults together, and it just took off from there.
All right. So, and what age group are you basically looking at?
We have riders aged 21 and up. We've got riders that are in their 20s. We've got riders in their 80s.
Okay, so the term Old People's Riding Club doesn't necessarily apply. If you got riders in their 20s, in my age bracket, I don't consider that old.
Right. It's kind of a fun thing.
It's a fun thing, but it was designed really to help keep older riders into a group of people in their age bracket to ride, correct? Or am I wrong? All right. So name some of the things you do.
We do, if you can imagine it, we'll do it. We've got people that are from all disciplines. We have people who are doing the English equitation, jumping, hunter jumper, fox hunting. We've got folks on the western side of things doing barrel racing, pole bending, reining. We've got people driving, a little bit of everything.
Everything, okay. So now you have chapters all around the country. How many states are you in?
We do. We have 20 chapters in 11 states.
Okay.
And we're currently in the membership renewal process for this year. We are topping 500 members.
Okay.
And they average 27 members per chapter.
Okay. So do you have like an annual ride or a ride where you bring everybody together or what?
We do. We have a national rally that is a biennial event. So every other year we have the chapters host rallies. They can do it either by themselves in their individual chapter, or a lot of the chapters will get together and hold a combined event. All of the scores from those events are tallied nationally, and then we offer national winners.
Okay. All right. So how do people contact you?
People can contact us by checking out our website at www.oldpeoplesridingclub.org.
Okay.
Or we have a Facebook page. We offer, most of the groups have their own Facebook pages, and we have websites for each individual chapter on the home website. Right. And we also have a membership forum on OPRC for members exclusively.
Okay. So basically, if you went to oldpeoplesridingclub.org,
yes,
then all the data on the chapters and everything is there.
Yes.
Right.
There's a segment on our history. There's segments on how to join, information on any of the ratings that we do. We require ratings for people just to make sure that they're safe riders.
Right.
We're all about safety, we're all about education, and we're all about people having fun while building relationships with their horses.
That's great, and I just like anything that, people keep going. It's like when you reach a certain age, you can keep going and keep riding or doing anything you're doing at a certain age, as long as you keep doing it. It gets tough if you quit and your body falls out of that pattern, and then you try to bring it back. That gets tougher, but just keep doing it, keep going, because the old saying, inside every older person is a younger person going, what happened? Okay, it's what happened to my body, because the mind is still like 20 years old, as it is with me. But a 20-year-old doesn't have aches and pains and a stiff knee when they get up and all that. So you just keep doing it and keep doing it as long as you can, because that's how you stay young.
Right. And one of our big goals is to get people back in the saddle and haven't done that for a while. Our chapter focuses a lot on building confidence with people that have either been out of the riding arena for a while, or whether they've had bad accidents and just ready to get back into it.
Right.
So we've got several people that we've worked through this.
And that's what it's all about.
It certainly is.
Hey, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
And it's fun. Old People's Riding Club. You got to get involved. Check them out at oldpeoplesridingclub.org, and we're glad to have you here
Thank you so much.
with us in Virginia on Speaking of Horses. Well, many riders are fearful, and there are people to help you overcome that fear, to deal with it. We recently talked with Heidi Mclaughlin, a fearless rider, about her approach to helping those fearful riders. Let's take a look. Hey, speaking of horses, I'm Wayne Williams. We're here at the Northwest Horse Fair in Albany, Oregon. And one of our affiliate TV members from Speaking of Horses is my guest this morning. That's Heidi Mclaughlin. And how are you this morning?
How are you?
Good. We had an interesting day yesterday. We filmed one of Heidi's clinics yesterday for future use. And that clinic went very well. We did one in Pomona a few weeks ago that the horse just wasn't cooperating.
That was funny. It was supposed to be a clinic on how to help people get over their fear of their horse spooking. And this gal brought a real nice, very sweet and gentle draft cross mare. Older, all furry, and I couldn't get the horse to spook, so that I could teach her how to handle herself and handle the horse when it's...
It's an entertaining clinic to watch, and I'm sure at some point we'll have it posted, but it just wasn't working out. Well, the one yesterday worked out pretty well.
Right, so we tried it again yesterday, and another perfect candidate. She volunteered and brought her horse, and the horse was actually a very, very good horse. Responds to her well. She can ride well, she can canter, but she's deathly afraid if that horse spooks. So I was able to teach her how to handle herself and what to do and handle the horse. And so people got to actually see this time. That was funny.
So you've been hitting a lot more of the expos this year. Which one? Do you have any more left this spring?
Yeah, actually I have a couple. I'll be in Iowa, the Iowa Horse Expo next week. I think it's in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
It's the weekend of April 1st, I believe.
Yeah, that's 2 weekends.
Yes. And I know Chris Cox is going to be there. I think the people of Iowa are in for a treat because he's never gone to that expo before.
That'll be a good one.
So
yes.
that should be good. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are anxious to have the opportunity to see him. And I felt honored that they asked me to come too and be included. I'm also going to be a clinician at Sacramento. What is that? The Western States.
The Western States in June. I'll
That's
be
in
back
June.
there with you.
Yeah.
So.
And then I have quite a few clinics that I'm flying all around to do. I do 2-day clinics to help people get over their fear, and so I'll be back here in Albany in 4 weeks to conduct a 2-day clinic. And then I have one the end of April, beginning of May in Iowa. And I have one in Redding, California in May. And so we're putting together some of those 2-day clinics.
Right.
And so I'll be busy and probably until about July.
Well, and the beauty of the expos, when you come and do these expos, the real beauty of that is that people can come over, they see what you're doing, and then you do come back and do the clinics.
Right.
and you can get your people right here that say, man, I want more time with you and with my horse.
Exactly. And I started doing that when I realized I was feeling bad, because the people would come and they would get excited and say, I really need help with this. Are you ever coming back to this area? And I'd say, well, I'll try to set something up. And I realized that if I really worked hard at it and tried to find a facility and make it work out, that I was able to help them more.
Right. And you said something in the clinic yesterday that has stuck with me, and it's like, you always want your horse to help you through these bad times, and what your horse is really doing is he's looking to you to help him through the bad times.
Right.
And that's the thought process most people don't think about.
When we're stuck in fear, we're always hoping for a horse to be brave for us. And we're talking about a flight animal who runs from fear, needs to go back to the herd for safety. And so when the rider kind of panics, when the horse spooks, the rider panics, it turns into something it didn't need to turn into, and the horse basically thinks you just left him. And so he goes back to his instinct and says, I got to save myself. And it doesn't need to go that far.
Well, and when I first started seeing you at various expos, you had just your book, Fearless Rider, and I think I went and you did a talk about the book, and I think I filmed one of your first talks way back, Equine Affairs somewhere.
I think we were in Colorado.
Maybe it was Colorado.
It was at the Rocky Mountain Horse Expo in Denver.
And you were just getting started, and you have now evolved past the book. I mean, the book is really good data if you want to get Heidi's book and don't have it. But then now you're in that arena with people, and you're really showing them basically your own experiences in being a fearless rider.
Yeah, and I have evolved. I started, the book came out, it's called Kick Your Fear of Horses, and it came out in August of 2012. I did a revision on it in 2014, and then I came out with a DVD called The 12 Steps to Fearless Riding. And then I started doing clinics, all of which is surprising to me, because when I wrote the book and I was a fearful rider, I would have never in a million years thought it would evolve to the way it is, where now I'm doing demonstrations at expos in front of an audience, and that I am going all over the country and helping people. It just evolved,
but it's fun.
It's fun. I love what I do. I'm very passionate about it. I almost feel like it's a ministry, because I don't want people to be afraid anymore. They don't have to.
And see, that's the way I feel when I'm out with the TV show or whatever. This is fun, And although you can go home dead tired, like I have a red-eye flight home tonight, I'll be back in Wisconsin, like 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'll be driving to my house. But
I'm sorry to hear that.
But see, you can be dead tired when you do that, and then you say, okay, let's see what's coming up in a couple of days. There you are.
And it really is it is a great experience. You start to you meet the nicest people on the road, and I just feel really blessed to be able to do what I love.
Well, and you do a good job with it.
Thank you.
Well, we're running out of time, but it's been nice talking to Heidi again this morning. So Heidi, thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. It's always good to see you.
Oh, I have fun, and you're always a pleasure to be around. So
thank you.
Thanks to Heidi, and we are at the Northwest Horse Fair in Albany, Oregon. Stay with us. We're on Speaking of Horses. Hey, we'll be right back right after this. We want to take a moment to thank everyone who has made Speaking of Horses possible. A great big thank you to Nixol, a wonderful cleansing and wound healing product. Nixol can handle all types of preventative and after injury problems. Check out Nixol, Nixall. Equestrisafe, wonderful products for identifying horses. Put your name, put your phone number on leg bands, wristbands, halters, the like. Equestrisafe, a wonderful, safe product line. All types of things down to first aid kits. Timeless Fence, a wonderful modular concept in putting fencing together. You'll love the ease of building fence with Timeless Fence. Equessentials, you talk about horse care and all of the products to improve your horse's coat, skin condition, and wellness. Equessentials has it all, not just grooming, but total horse care. Equessentials. Total Equine, wonderful feed products. You want to keep your horse healthy, Total Equine is something you want to invest in. And a thanks to all who make Speaking of Horses possible.